This week, we watched the new movie Stopmotion, directed by Robert Morgan. So before we start, go ahead and comment your favorite stop-motion animation movie, music video, or clip that you've seen below. So a quick synopsis. It's about a girl named Ella whose mother is an obsessed stop-motion director and over time has basically taken her daughter as her protege and uses her daughter's hands to move the puppets since hers no longer can do that. Her mother becomes sick and is in the hospital, and then Ella becomes almost an obsessed artist trying to complete her mother's work. And from there, just shit goes crazy. So
it goes nuts.
Yeah. As every great movie does, you have to have some kind of...
It goes off.
I want to say, first of all, this movie I thought was... I feel like it was a great thingy. I'm very bad at words right now. Sorry, because stop breaking shit.
Let's grab your phone.
No, it's
grab
her
vape. Grab your vape.
Get it together.
Let's pretend this never happened. We'll start over.
Take two.
All right.
All right. Breathe and Matt, go ahead.
Very mixed. I had very mixed feelings about this one. I liked it.
Really?
And I hated it. I felt like. Excuse me.
Can we start though, like with the things we loved about it? Like, what did we love about it?
I want to say this was actually a great. I mean, I kind of saw through it, and I'm trying not to say the negatives, but I felt like it was a great ideal for psychosis.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, spoilers. Like,
we will have a lot of spoilers, guys. So just a heads up if you haven't seen the movie yet.
But this was I thought it was a great thing for psychosis. I saw right away what was happening with the little girl.
Really?
I figured it out almost right away.
I was totally blindsided by that. Once her mother is sick and in the hospital, there's this little girl that starts following her, or not following her, appearing in her life. And she's giving her ideas and helping her out with this stop motion movie that she's making. Turns out at the end that she's actually made up and Ella created her in her mind. So kind of a Fight Club theme going on. But yeah, I actually didn't realize she was fake until the scene where she was in the bathroom after shit had been going wrong, and then the girl just appears.
Oh, no shit.
That was when, yeah.
Not at the party or anything like that, like the party scene.
I thought that she had imagined the girl there, but I didn't think that the girl was fake. I just thought in that scene she imagined the girl was there.
Oh man, Matt, I'm with you right away. I said, this bitch ain't real. This little girl is not real.
I don't know. I'm gullible. I'm gullible.
I was reading into it hard though, and it was good though. I mean, it was a decent movie. I love the end. Like the very end was very I haven't been feeling good, so I don't have the best.
We've all been
now.
Very sick this week.
There's been like a plague that hit this whole town. The whole thing, because if you remember the lines that her mom said about puppets, when they're done, they get put away into the trunk. And she gets put away into a trunk at the very end, or she puts herself away in a trunk. And I thought that was very, like, she's done. I
also love the ending because of that. And I like the trunk because when the Ash Man, who is the villain in the movie that the little girl helps her create, when he's coming the 3 nights, on the second night, she says, no, I'm going to have the girl escape. I like that she escaped into the box, but it like was very trapping feeling to her. And you don't realize what it is. You just see this room, you know? And
I thought it was a coffin at first.
Oh, you did? I had no idea what it was. It was just very abstract, you know? The ruffled fabric and everything. So at the end, when she chooses to go in there, it's like she's accepting her fate at that point. She said,
okay, I'm done now.
I love that. I thought that was really, really well done. Which a lot of times horror movies do have, especially psychological horror movies, they don't quite hit the mark when it comes to solid endings. So this one I actually do feel satisfied with.
It was good.
Yeah.
I felt like the stop motion itself was so beautifully done to me. It was very like the demented imagery and everything in it was so creepy to me. I loved it. I thought it was perfect. Looking at it, it was disturbing. Looking at it.
I do feel like stop motion animation itself, it never looks fully real, you know, like it has, we do have the technologies now to make it look real, but the real spirit of it has that kind of odd, uneasy look to it.
I loved it.
Yeah. And this one definitely captured that stop motion feeling to it.
Even in the part where she was like taking like her face off and like feeding it, I was like, this is what I wanted.
Have you guys seen?
I feel like it was very intentional though that they didn't try to make it look real,
right?
Like
they could,
yeah, but that's what makes it so creepy.
And it really did honor the director. Have you guys seen the YouTube short horror film, the cat with the hands, I think is what it's called.
No.
I'll drop a link below, but he directed that, and it's this really like macabre, I think like 6-minute video about these kids telling each other like a fable. You know, it's about this cat with like human hands, and then obviously like it has a negative impact on them, or it has a bad ending, but. The style of animation for that with the stop motion with this one are like almost exactly the same. So I'm glad that he's sticking with that and not trying to.
He did great.
He's still using like modern, like new technologies to create a better look, I guess you can say, but he's still staying true to that look at the same time.
And the like noises in that movie. You know what I mean? It was constantly noisy with her, with her juice, the footsteps, everything.
The cutting breathing, the meat.
Yeah, the meat, everything had a noise. It was noisy the whole movie. It was very like creepy.
And it would be super quiet one moment until like they just slab a bunch of meat on a table and you hear every bit of that.
I kept on making like little jokes throughout the movie, like when she was trying to press the button on the thing to take a picture and the door buzzer kept on going off. I'm like, God, that apartment has bad wiring.
That was actually the first like uneasy feeling, you know, when the ash man. Actually, that was a really good jump scare when the ash man, like she goes to look through the door and you see the eye.
Ow.
Oh yeah.
On the ash man, that actually made me jump. It wasn't like the music's building up to that point. It's just quiet, and then you look through the door, and bam, it's right there.
Like at the very end, too, it just got real gory at the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was like when she was taking her leg, you guys, I'm not even messing around. I like melted into my couch, and I was like, no, we're not doing this right now.
Uncomfortable, uneasy, sickening almost. I was actually like the simplest thing. I was eating Ritz crackers when I was watching that scene. I couldn't. No, it wasn't that scene. It was the fox scene when she was gutting the fox.
Yes.
She was making puppets out of. The little girl convinced her to make the girl puppet out of, or not puppet. Yeah, I'm gonna say puppet because she was referred to as a puppet out of a steak, and then. You know her apartment smelled bad.
You know her
apartment
smelled bad. Crawling.
Especially towards the end, you start to see the maggots on the on the fox corpse and stuff.
That was so ugh.
I'm just glad they didn't really show rotting meat, like rotting meat.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny is like you realize the little girl, the girl, imaginary girl, whatever, she pulled that fucking piece of meat out of the trash can.
Did she?
Yeah, she threw it away.
It wasn't in the refrigerator. You see her opening up a drawer and reach in there and grab a piece.
I didn't even like pay attention to that. I might have looked away for a second when that happened.
Use this.
But just,
we were sitting there like, that wasn't a refrigerator.
It was just so twisted and demented, and like as it was getting more twisted and more demented, it's like this little girl's either got something seriously wrong with her, or you know, obviously you find out she's not real.
Oof.
I love this film. I actually think I like this the most. Like, this is probably my favorite film since we watched Talk to Me.
Okay, because I really love this movie, too.
Yeah.
I thought it was really great. There's just, like, a few things that I was like the soundtrack. You already know how I am with movies. Like, I was bummed it didn't have, there's no good music in it. You know what I mean? I was like,
This movie did have a lot of sounds, you know. It actually reminded me a lot of Robert Eggers, how his soundtracks are always very, like, just, actually, I discovered, but I found out there's this thing called a nightmare machine. And it's this menagerie of just like strings and percussion, like things that aren't supposed to make sounds for movies, but they just make uneasy sounds for movies with this thing. And it's a like high pitched, like sound, you know?
But with an instrument like this, the goal is to just produce sounds that, in this case, are disturbing.
And they use it a lot for psychological thrillers, especially, like I said, if you watch any Robert Eggers film, The Witch specifically, a lot of those sounds are made from this instrument I'm talking about. So I wouldn't doubt that they did something like that for this one too.
And then it was really good. And like I said, I liked the storyline. I loved it all. But it wasn't original to me, as in the sense of like, okay, great. It's a struggling artist, desperate artist, and they have a mental illness. I've never seen that before. You know what I mean? And it was done well. I'm ready for something new. It's like we've seen this. We've seen this in multiple movies. This isn't a new thing.
Yeah. I guess there's a Black Swan. There's Whiplash. I don't know if I've seen it in a horror movie personally. Maybe that's why I liked it so much. Have you guys? Like,
I can't think of something at the top of my head, but my mind did go.
I feel like Smile's even kind of like that too. It's just like all these mental illness movies.
I really enjoy those.
Actually,
too passionate, or what is it, obsessed artist films. Yeah, I think that they're great. I don't think I've seen enough of them to feel like I'm over it. So that's
Okay, that
probably
makes
why
sense.
the contrast is there. But if you have watched enough of them, like me and actually JP were talking about horror films, and we're so sick of people moving into a house and then like the demons come out, or there's some old lady who's obsessed with the demons and
Yes.
is like has all this knowledge about them. Like there's so many different cliches that happen in movies that like you're just over it and you want something unique and all of that.
you know, speaking of movies like that, you know, it was kind of a good one that people kind of forgot about. Drag Me to Hell.
I like that movie.
I like that movie.
That movie had some gnarly scenes in it. I
Yeah.
remember like the whole thing when the old lady gets pulled out of the casket and like the vomit or whatever comes out.
Yeah.
All her fluids come out. That actually made my stomach turn in that movie.
That movie
Like,
had good jump scares too.
It did.
oh yeah.
That was a solid movie, but it was so unique at the time, you know? Like I'm so tired of the Conjuring house or what's the other one? Insidious. Like they're just moving in.
yeah.
Like I said, I just watched Imaginary and they move into a house and bad shit starts happening and there's an old lady who knows all about all the
Even
demonic
like on
shit.
like Netflix and all those streaming things, all those horror movies you see have to deal with moving into a house.
Yeah,
Like,
I just
no,
come up with
immediately
something
no.
unique. That's why this movie was very refreshing to me.
I loved it. I felt like the stop motion made up for it. I
Yeah.
said, this is beautifully done.
Yes.
It's very like artsy. I liked it. She also
And a
like
crotch.
that relationship reminded me of like the Bates Motel of like Norma and Norman.
Yeah.
Like when Norma dies and fucking Norman just fucking.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the same thing
Norman-
that happens to her too. Her mom dies and she's like, "Ooh,
Loses
I
her
really
freaking mind.
fucking
Oh.
am off the rails now."
Well, it's her chance to finally break free from her mom's like clasp on her. And unfortunately, how the mom says is the difference between you and me and our imaginations is I can control mine. You can't.
You cannot.
Yeah.
She cannot.
Interesting theory, by the way.
Let's
Real
hear it.
quickly.
I love theories.
Do you think she attacked her mom?
Well, like when the lights went out and then she was like, "Mom."
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't even think about that.
I was thinking
but
about that.
also,
'Cause
like,
I didn't think about it until the end. Once she snapped and like attacked everybody else, like, well, she needs that flesh.
well, yeah, because she did get crazy at the end.
Could be. I mean,
and the way her mom was like being like,
in her face. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like she
And
might
she
have.
just snapped.
Just freaked out.
I think she might have snapped on her mom.
That's actually not a bad theory. So she's hearing her mom barking orders in her ear constantly. She knows she's not doing a bad job, but her mom is like telling her, stay still, stay still. And then
She's like, "Don't
the lights
move."
go out, she snaps. That's just like the one extra thing. And then she's like, this is my turn. I'm going to make my own movie.
It's
And
my time to
I don't
shine.
need you, you know, but she does.
Which makes sense too, because she scraps her mom's project.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
She said, "Bye-bye."
I was saying no at first because I was thinking she was too afraid of her mom and wouldn't have done that. But I mean, like, people snap. There's literally a show called Snapped. It happens.
Her snapped.
And that would be the perfect setup, I think, for that as well. That's a good theory.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just really disgusted at the end when she like pulls out the actual thing in her
Piece
leg.
of her muscle.
The
and then
stitches.
they try to get her and she's like,
Yeah.
she like goes ham, dude.
Let me
Dude.
get.
At first, I thought they were gonna get her out of there, and then she does that donkey kick from hell on the sister.
And the scene of her like taking out her stitches and digging in her leg, that went on too long for
Yeah.
me. And the noise and the way like it just like zoomed in and it went.
As someone who
and I
just had
just-
staples taken out of their arm, I felt each one of those.
Ugh.
At first, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna take." Because at first, when she was grabbing the cable or whatever to chew on, at first I thought she was gonna use it as a tourniquet. I was like, "Oh, she's gonna lop that whole leg off. We're about to get a saw up in here."
I really liked how at the ending scene, like the little girl was saying, like, just watch what's going to happen when she creates the two dolls out of the corpses of her boyfriend and sister and stuff. And then the one turns and she's like, what's happening? Because she didn't think that far ahead, you know, and this is like all of her fears are coming to finally, you know, because she is the Ash Man. She is the villain and she's just basically accepting her fate at that point. So I did think it was wild when it shows her going into the house and the girls watching her like sitting there clicking each like, you know, one. And I was thinking the whole time, imagine the person that's going to walk into this scene and like find all of this.
Oh yes.
Like she literally becomes a serial killer in a sense at that point.
Yes.
I don't think anything leading up to the full size models actually happened, because if you remember, I might have got this out of order in my head, but I think she already passed from bleeding out by then, because you see her laying out and you see that she's already had blood loss already.
So you don't think she actually killed her?
No, this is after. I mean, I think they're all dead, but I don't think she finished making the sculptures and all that, or the.
Oh, you think it was all in her head?
I think it was all in her head, and that because there's a scene where she's kind of laying on the ground and she's like clicking the button, and like you could see that she's like lying in a pool of like slowly drying blood.
I will say she would have to build full armatures that are that size. And that's kind of like, I don't think you can just do that on the fly. So maybe you're right. Maybe that was all in her head.
Yeah.
I did like that she like built him. Did you ever see that movie, May? It's
No.
old. What? You need
I've
to
heard
watch
of
that
it.
movie because that movie is like, she essentially becomes serial killer. She's like, she's weird.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have any friends. Her mom was controlling. She gave her a doll when she was little. And then she was like, I'm going to make my own friend. And so she starts killing people, taking different body parts, sewing them together, and makes one giant person
What?
out of different body parts. And it is such a fucking good movie.
I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it. But
You
I
need to
didn't
watch
even
it.
know that was what it was about.
I
So
actually have it.
do you really?
It's one of my favorite movies, dude. It's so bizarre. It's so good.
Can I watch it on Shudder? Because I will.
I don't know, but you should because it's so fucking good, dude.
You have good movie
It is
suggestions.
so good.
So one thing about this film that I've already mentioned the movie once during this talk. I actually thought it had a lot of parallels to the movie The Witch. I know they're completely different films and they really don't have a whole lot in common, but more just the whole time you don't know what's real. You don't know what's in their head. The isolation from everybody, you know, like Thomasin in The Witch is isolated from her family. She's coming of age. Like everyone's kind of treating her differently. And she's still figuring herself out. But in the process of all these fears like surrounding them, they get consumed by it. And it ends up that like they become the villain in the end. And it's a great character arc, bottom line. And a lot of movies follow that. But I just felt these were very similar. And I love The Witch. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So to me, it was very...
So I love this.
Yeah, it was great. I thought that it was beautifully done.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
It was.
Do you guys want to rate or do you want to talk about it a little bit more?
Oh, I didn't care about The Witch.
You like The Witch?
I didn't care for The Witch.
Why not?
I don't know. It was one of those ones like...
That scene where the mom thinks that she's nursing her baby who came back when it's really just some raven like biting her nipple.
There was...
That was, I think, the creepiest scene that's stuck with me longer than any other movie scene. Oh, that freaked me out.
I don't know. It was one of those ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and rate Stop Motion.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Who are we starting with?
I'm going to give it a 9. I like that movie a lot.
I'm going to give it an 8 because it was really great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Is it B?
Actually, I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Okay. I guess we don't really do decimals
I'm
too
giving
much.
8.5 because I'm going to not get points for the music because that's what I personally look for in movies. I like movie sound. I like movie music, and it didn't do it for me.
The Lost Boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's like the
album,
standard.
Great.
But no, I love the originality in this movie. And the only reason I'm not giving it a 10 was I'm not super crazy about super gory scenes. And it was just
Fair.
almost a little too abstract for me.
Yes.
I like abstract films, but I have more comfort when I know exactly what's happening. So
fair.
yeah.
I'm giving it a 6.
Dang.
You giving it a D?
Elaborate.
I just... There was like I said, I saw through the whole little girl thing right away. Like almost instantly. I'm sitting there like... And I mean, there's spots that I liked and there were spots I didn't like. And I felt like almost the whole thing, like the whole scene where she like got the job at that studio was almost unnecessary.
That was a little strange. I didn't like that
agree.
scene.
Yes. Yes.
Other than the fact that like the sister stole her work or whatever.
It created tension, I think, was the purpose of that scene was it just drew her and her sister farther apart.
Like that, or I mean, it seemed like they didn't get along to begin with, and it was just like the boyfriend kind of pressured her because she's flat out said, I don't want to work at your depressing ass job or whatever she says when they went to the party. What was up with the party? Did she actually take the drugs? Did she have more drugs?
Oh, she definitely took drugs.
But you see that she still had drugs in the little envelope, the little baggie and things like that.
I think she
and
did.
there was a lot of, like I said.
And drugs tend to unlock hidden mental illnesses,
Especially
unfortunately.
psychedelics, dude.
Yeah.
And so not trying to be mean, but like there was just a lot of things that I saw that I didn't care for.
That's all right.
So I'm just gonna be honest and I say I wanted to give it a 6. Like I'll be nice and I'll say it a 6.5.
Oh, we're doing
We're decimals tonight.
We're
We're doing decimals. So
I get what you're saying, because like the plot of the story, like I was like, it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah.
But the stop motion and the way it was shot and everything and the noise, just like really
The incorporating the
it
stop
brought it
motion
to life
with real
for
life.
me.
That you can't go wrong with incorporating the two styles together,
Yeah,
you know?
they did
Yeah.
that beautifully.
Yeah.
the stop motion was done great. Like there's a lot more pluses than minuses for this movie for me. But overall, for some reason, I just want to give it a 6.5 more than anything. Like,
And this is one of those movies that is up for interpretation. So our
Yes.
view of it can be completely different from yours. So that's great. It's just one of those storyteller aspects of it.
the grand grade is an 8 still. So,
I think it's pretty damn
Woo!
good. Compared to what we usually give, that's pretty damn
That's
good.
true.
but we're starting to go into a horror movie season, so kind
Yes.
of excited in that
Finally,
sense.
it's been kind of dry around
It's been
here.
very dry.
Yes.
Like my ex-wife.
That's a good one because I know your ex-wife.